Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting show. Slightly different start to today's show. Hope you can hear me over the music. Never quite sure how this technology works, but there we are. We're here, we're live, and we're having some good fun in the studio. Let me just kill the music there because we do not need that for the moment. Now, ladies and gentlemen, live on the show on the, what is it, the 19th of December 2005. Wait, gone through some strange, wacky time warp. But no. It's the, I just looked at it. It's the 19th of May, 2020. And out there in the Vobosphere are all you guys. But here, with me, unmuted, there's a little clue, is the lovely Julia. Hello to you, lovely Julia.
Hello, lovely Richard. I am indeed unmuted.
Fantastic. Lovely to hear you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Yourself?
Hang on a minute. I don't think we can hear you. Hang on, I've just got to fade you up like that. Just try talking again.
I'm not too bad, thank you. Yourself?
There we go. Sorry, I may have unmuted you at the beginning. I'm not quite sure because I never get a monitor of the feed out. But hey ho.
Well, either way, it wasn't my fault this time.
No, definitely not. So lovely to see you. Thank you for coming and thank you for joining us on the show tonight. I have to say, you're looking radiant as ever.
Good. It's funny what a bit of scrubbing up can do.
Is that what it is? A bit of scrubbing up? I wish I knew how to do that myself.
You look rather radiant yourself.
Oh, I've been by a radiator. Well, I've been by the Essie anyway.
Oh yes, I thought you looked a bit red.
Yes, well read. So who have we got out there in the Vobosphere tonight, lovely Julia?
We have a whole load of people. We have Ed Loud. Bah!
Yay!
We have Jeff Kellison. We have Ed Loud and Jeff Kellison chatting. And Jen's Allotment Adventures. Woo!
Woohoo!
Roy Ballinger, At Home with Mindy. Ernie. Connor's Dark Corner. Come Walk With Me. Turbo Stream. Steve G. Days of Yore. Dawn Copping. Any new ones? Judith. Hello, Judith. Thanks for backing us up. And Barry Stevens. Who else we got? Andy Dalglish and Linda Kane. Hello, everybody.
Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on this very cold winter night. Oh, my goodness. And if you think you're watching a repeat from the old days, then maybe you are. Oh, no, you're not. This is lovely Julia looking slightly concerned then. What?
Because I sound like I'm at the end of a tunnel. Is there an echo? Echo.
Does lovely Julia sound like she's at the end of a tunnel?
I feel like I'm at the end of a tunnel, but that's something else.
I wonder if there's some strange old feedback going on here. I'm just looking to see if there's any technical stuff that I haven't done correctly. But no, I think it should all be there. You should be coming out. People are saying yes. I don't know what the yes. Oh, Julia sounds echo.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, let me just fiddle. So if I do, hang on, if I do that, does Julia sound like an echo now?
Did you call me Judith this time?
No, Julia, definitely Julia.
I'm sure Judith. At least it wasn't Julie.
I'm just wondering if people can hear you now, because I've not changed. Oh, not changed anything.
Oh, bless you, Turbo Stream. He says Julia is the light at the end of the tunnel. Oh.
Very echoey. It sounds better now, says Judith. Oh, that's better. Great. Okay. What did I just do?
I have no idea.
No, I don't know. I've just
Don't undo it.
Yeah, fine. I'm hoping that that should be all right. I don't know what channel you're going out on because I can't see where you're going out. But hey ho, doesn't matter. Bit better. Did Julia paint those pictures behind her? Yeah, you did, didn't you?
Yes, with my very skillful hands.
She's back to being Julia again, says Mike Stevens. Oh, that's good. Brilliant. Well, I'm sorry about the slight kerfuffle there. I'm not quite sure what...
we're good at kerfuffles when I'm on.
Well, I think it's down to the way the desk is lined up. I need to maybe get my Allen and Heath desk out and do a proper desk. I'm going to blame this on Mr. Suggett.
I need to straighten up my Concord and my Red Rum, don't I? They're all falling apart.
Yeah, your studio is falling to bits.
Yeah, just like the rest of my house.
Oh dear. Is it? Why? What's happened? You haven't had an Ed Loud, have you?
No. Thankfully, I haven't had anything like that. But, just a few little niggles that we've been needing to get to for a few years or so.
Fair enough. Well, lockdown is the perfect time to get on with all those lovely little jobs.
Yes, quite.
We've got Budski73 out there. Hello to you, Budski. Evening from Letchworth Garden City. I've been to Letchworth Garden City many a time, and it's very nice. A friend of mine runs a podcast from up there, the Garbage Pod, he calls it. I think that's some reference to Red Dwarf, if I remember rightly.
Never heard that one. Sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's still going or not. I think it probably is, because he was an ardent podcaster. Do you listen to podcasts, lovely Julia?
I do. Well, there's one in particular I listen to religiously.
Oh, it's a religious podcast, is it? Is it
Oh, it definitely is not that.
Ye Almighty God saith to you. Is it one of those?
Not quite.
No. Who listens? I'd be interested, actually. Let's offer this out for Informazioni from the Audianti. Is the Audianti? Dear Auntie, are you out there? Who listens to podcasts, and what kind of podcasts do you listen to? That would be interesting. Or do you more these days watch and listen to things on the Tube of Views or the Book of Faces? I'd be interested in any comments that comes out. Ed Loud says, did my video arrive? No need to play tonight. Just internet cut out again. Not sure if it arrived. Let me tell you that I don't think it did. But I am just double checking.
I've spotted a new name out there I've not seen before. Leonard Forsberg.
Oh, right. Hello, Leonard Forsberg.
Sorry, there was some mention of Larry the Cat. Yes, I remember that on yesterday's show. He has his own Twitter account, apparently. And apparently it's great to see me again. And thanks from Sweden. Hello to Sweden.
Hello to Sweden. Oh, yeah, we've got one from... This is hang on, I'm just checking to see. Probably too late for the show. Internet went down. Never mind. Thanks. Looking forward to the show. Falcom to Ethan Park. If that's you, Ed, then I've got it, but I haven't downloaded it. I'm sorry about that.
That'll be for tomorrow's show then.
Yes. Hi, Rod, says Lennart. Who's he talking to? Is there somebody called Rod out there?
No idea.
No idea.
Ron. It might have been...
Ron, yeah, might have been.
Meant Ron.
I hardly ever watch TV nowadays, says the lovely Jeff Kellerson. I'm mostly viewing videos on YouTube. I am the proprietor of the Garbage Pod, Mr. V, says Budski73. Well, there we are. Mark, how lovely to see you. This is the lovely Mark. There you are, you see. He is the proprietor of the Garbage Pod podcast. We were just talking about you, and I said, luckily, I said some nice things.
Ears must have been burning.
Must have been burning.
Jen Botman says, how do we send videos in? You send them to richard.vobes at... No. Richard... Wait, what is it?
Wait, who am I? Where am I? Okay.
What?
The link, all this information is in the description, but you send them to me via the service on the browser of wetransfer.com. Send it to my email address, richard@vobes.com. And that should get to me. But if you send it via WeTransfer, it won't get rejected by my email box because Google are funny, aren't they? So that's it. So yeah, who listens to podcasts? I'm interested to know, because we know that Richard Suggett does a podcast, and now of course Mark out there, otherwise known as Budski73. He is the proprietor of the Garbage Pod, which I confess I haven't listened to for a while because I haven't been listening to podcasts for a long time myself. But I'd be interested to know who does. I know Mrs. Suggett is an avid podcast listener. She likes to listen to conspiracy theories. She likes listening to sort of these investigative drama podcasts where they go and investigate sort of serial murders and things like that. She's avid of all that sort of stuff, of which there seems to be plenty of them. These are audio podcasts, of course. Judith listens to a few podcasts. I know the BBC release their programmes as podcasts, but I'm interested in podcasts that are made to be podcasts as opposed to a radio programme. So if you do listen to any of those, I'll be interested in that. I noticed that there's a number of there's a number of videos on YouTube that may as well be a podcast. They just use a whole load of stock footage, and then they have their point that they're talking, usually about 10-15 minutes or something, but it's just they use a whole load of stock footage. Do you ever watch any of that, Julia?
Stock footage?
No, not the stock footage. The podcasts that use, they're they're using video as a.
No, I actually only listen to audio podcasts. There's actually only one I listen to. Actually.
Oh right, what's that?
The Naked Englishman.
That sounds
some weird fellow. You might like him. I'll introduce you sometime.
You must. It sounds saucy.
There is a question here from Lee. I've lost it. Where is it?
Lee, I've lost it. Hey, Lee, I've lost it.
Yeah.
What's your question?
It's about the videos. How long is ideal?
Oh, right. To send in for the show that we do here on the Vobes Show, about 2 minutes. I say about because, it can go over. People have been being a bit naughty and letting them go to about 4 minutes, but that really is pushing it too much, because if it is, Yawnsville, then 4 minutes is not going to make it. I mean, Mr. Crocer, who occasionally pops in and does make some videos, sometimes he's sent in 4 minutes of wind noise, which has been very interesting. I never quite know whether it's him talking or the wind whistling around him.
I mean, we're not looking for perfection, are we? But
we're not looking for perfection, no, of course.
But if we've got lots of videos to play in, then it's nice to just have them fairly concise, just a little something to show us how your walk went or something like that.
Yeah, and don't forget, it doesn't have to be about walks. It hasn't got to be about heritage, nature and landscape. That's very much on the Bald Explorer and in our Facebook group. This can be about anything. And in tonight's show, you're going to get about anything. We've got some fascinating... We've got TurboStream has an incredible feature film. It's pretty feature length, actually. And we've got that to show you. That's really exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
Cool.
And sorry, Julia, what were you going to say?
I just said cool.
Oh, cool, yeah.
E. Robert says 2 minutes. 2 minutes it is then. Thanks.
You're a star. Look forward to it. Very much so. Are the videos of OxoCube stock footage, says Days of Yore. Very much so. Very much.
Tish.
Yeah, like that. Dawn Coping says, bit sad today. Oh, meant to be in Portugal for son's wedding. What happened? Did you miss the plane? What? No taxi? What happened? Did the bride not turn up?
Or the lockdown?
Oh yeah.
My little brother was supposed to be getting married in June, but of course we've had to cancel. Well, not cancel, but rearrange for next year.
Yes. So, Dawn, what's going on there then? Is it that are your son and his fiancée, are they out there doing it, but you can't go, or has the thing been postponed until the family can go? Because it would be a bit sad if the family can't get over. And is she Portuguese, or you've just chosen an exotic location? Because what with your brother, who's supposed to be getting married, Julia, I mean, there is a connection there too.
Yes, she is Portuguese, and the wedding is going to be in Portugal.
Right. And does that is that legal tender in England as well, if you get married in another country?
What do you mean legal tender?
Well, is that still, do the British still accept that if you get married in Portugal under Portuguese law? I mean, I don't know. I've never been married in Portugal. Well,
as it happens, my little brother and his fiancée they're basically going to have a little ceremony here, I think, if they thought about. Just a, what's the word? Registration.
Right.
Registrar.
So I guess that's what I suppose.
Next year.
I suppose that's what I was getting at. If you go and get married in another country, but when you come back here, you still have to sign some British paperwork in order
I think that's the case.
Yeah, that's. I guess that was what I was thinking. That might be.
I got you in the end.
Ed Loud, what's this? John Winthorpe says, how about how to make soup with pig's feet?
Nice. Oh, Judith says, I don't think any weddings are allowed. So, yeah, I think that's what they would have done, is have the little registrar thing, but they can't. So,
I suppose you can't. So no weddings at all, because you can't have the social distance in a wedding, can you?
I think, the only reason we're having funerals is because we need to start the process. Not me personally. Well, obviously, I'm still here.
Notice that.
Yeah.
Shall we watch a video?
Yeah, I think we should.
I think we will. So I mentioned TurboStream. I mentioned Adrian and his amazing adventure. We're going to go high into the sky. Quite an elevated story, this. So let's go into the video box and see what we've got. And here we are. So I hope you're going to enjoy this, ladies and gentlemen. This is quite an adventure. It is gripping. It will have you by the skin of your teeth. Adrian has put on Mr. Adventure outfit. It is quite stunning. I don't need the headphones on. I don't know why I've got them on now, because I only need the headphones on when I'm talking to the lovely Julia, because that's the only way I can hear her. But I can hear you guys. They're all shouting for me to get on with Adrian's great adventure. Here it is. And how about that, ladies and gentlemen? Can't wait to see that one. I think that's going to be an absolute corker. That will be in the cinemas very soon. And, of course, Adrian's promised to let us have an airing first of all. Let's see what the lovely Julia made of that. She's having a quick cuppa there. What did you think? You have to unmute yourself just to remind you.
I have.
Oh, well done.
I thought that was brilliant. I can't wait. That looked really professional as well. Well done.
I know. I thought, hello, what are we watching here when it got going?
I was like, hey up, I didn't know I stepped into a cinema.
Aye. So there we are. How about that? That was what a trailer. What a trailer. But the thing is, we want to see the actual video now.
Yeah, dying on the edge of my seat now, waiting for that.
Dying on the edge of your seat. Oh, poor old thing. There she was talking about funerals. Standing ovation, says Laura even, and Dawn Cooping. Love the music. It was like being there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
very cinematic.
Very cinematic. In fact, Being There was a film with Peter Sellers, one of his last films that he ever made. Did anyone ever see Being There? With Peter Sellers, where he played Chauncey the gardener. That was a cracking film. Did you ever see it?
Stream says, what a leg end.
What a leg end. Exactly. We want to see the whole leg, not just the end. We want to see the whole McCoy. Great build-up.
See what you did there.
All right. Left us wanting more, which is fantastic. That's what we want. Yeah, so if you want to make a trailer, that would be great fun. If you want to make a trailer, send them in to the old Vobie One-Eyed Kenobi on the Showbie, and that would be great. So
I think it's fantastic, all these people sending in these videos. I mean, you know, I've made some feeble attempts, but the only thing you guys have actually seen from me is all the was that tortoise and baby race.
Oh yeah,
even that I sent to you to edit, didn't I?
You did, yeah.
I cheated.
Well, you know.
Head in shame.
Yeah, but you haven't got all the editing equipment there.
No, this is true. But apparently it's not that hard to get hold of.
No, it's download it free.
Don't give me excuses, I don't need them.
No, I'm just helping you out.
Thanks.
But it was nice footage though. You filmed it very well, so it was easy to edit.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I'll take that credit.
Take it and run with it.
I'll take it and run.
So what I want to know then, talking of tortoises and babies, how is A, the baby, and B, how is the tortoise?
A, the baby is fine. He's a little bit clingy these days, but he's definitely in that pre-toddler babyhood.
You
heart-taken.
said to me that he is clinging to the furniture and now walking about but holding on to things. Is
Yeah,
that
well,
right?
when he's not clinging to the furniture, he's clinging to my leg or my hip.
Oh right, bit like
Arm,
one of those unwanted dogs, how they sort of cling to your leg and you're trying to shake them off. That
Oh,
sort of
that's
thing.
so sad. How can a dog be unwanted?
Well, when I say unwanted, I mean
Ah,
Harriet's dog used to do that to my leg. Used to click. Well, Harriet's dog was a female, and he always used to hump my leg.
yeah, that attention is a bit unwanted, but the dog is not.
No, yeah, exactly.
I see what you mean, though.
Yeah. So I was just thinking that's a bit like the baby, and you're trying to walk, and there's this great heavy weight on your
Yeah.
leg.
Luckily, the tortoise doesn't do that to me, but he does have some little model tortoises that are in there, and he hasn't done it for a while. But when he was in his tortoise teens, he was definitely
Humping the
making noises
tortoise.
with them.
You mean
Yeah.
the tortoise was humping plastic tortoises?
Yes, although that only lasted for a little while because he then went on strike because I took away his favourite toy, which was it's just a ceramic plant pot, but on its side,
Right.
big enough for him to get in and climb, and snuggle down in soil. But he'd mount the back, the closed end of it. It's very off-putting. But I had to take it away from him because he kept wearing down his nails too quickly. And then he copped a strop because his favourite girlfriend had been taken away.
I didn't
Can't
know.
believe I'm
I
saying
didn't know
this.
tortoises had nails.
Well, claws, nails, claws.
yeah,
Same
claws.
difference.
Oh no! I was just thinking. I didn't know they had claws. I suppose they do have claws.
Yeah,
Yeah.
digging.
Yeah, oh yeah, of course, for digging. Nigel Sadler, hello to you. Says being there with Sellers is that's Peter Sellers, by the way. Last film, and he won a how do you say it? Posthumous.
Posthumous.
Yes, Oscar. He did. There was every time I ever looked up being there and said, "Oh, it was his last film," because I thought it was his last film. That people would say, "No, it was Fu Manchu." He did a version of Fu Manchu, and I don't know. You talk to some people and they see Fu Manchu was the last one he filmed, and then there's Being There. But Being There, I thought was the better film. Because I didn't see the other one, so I couldn't think it was the better film. Have you been to the... Well, I was going to say, not in lockdown, obviously, but have you been to the cinema fairly recently, lovely Julia, before lockdown?
It was a good few months ago, but it was really enjoyable. We went. I took Elijah to see my eldest to see Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, yes, Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I did, but I did.
I'm just trying to think, what is the last film that I saw in a cinema? I haven't been to the cinema for years, probably. So what is the last film, or the most recent film that you have sat and watched in a cinema with other people? And to follow that up, when do you think we can go back to sitting in the cinema again? I guess
good
they'll
question.
be opened in July, maybe. I think that's, when the cafes and things are opening. But what is the last film that you went to see, and does that say anything about your age or whatever? I would be interesting. A bit of fun from 2015, says Turbo Stream. Not quite sure that. Sonic with Alfie, says Fiona Cooper. Oh, she went to take Sonic. No,
She went to take Alfie to see Sonic.
Yes, she took Sonic to see Alfie. That was a good film. What's it all about, Alfie? That was with Alfie. That was with You're Only Supposed to Blow the Bloody Doors Off. Michael Caine played Alfie in the 1960-something film version of it. 1917, says Val Williamson. That was a film that he went to see. Yeah, that's about true. The Sound of Music, says Michael Angel. Where the hell was The Sound of Music playing?
Yeah, was that a rerun?
Tower Heist was where Barry Stevens went, and he said it was rubbish. Did sound like that from the name? The Last Star Wars, I think. Oh my God, how many Star Wars films are there?
Don't know, but Ed Loud says he went to see Dad's Army with his granddad as he was in the Home Guard.
Oh right, is that the more? I watched the modern version of Dad's Army. I thought it was going to be good, and it was mediocre. But I didn't see it at the cinema. I have to confess, I didn't see it at the cinema. Days of Yore, Casino Royale, over 10 years ago with my dad. Yes, I went to the cinema. I saw that with my son. And we went because liked James Bond, but I was bitterly disappointed by Casino Royale because James Bond was not James Bond, and I've been waiting for James Bond to be James Bond again. Didn't like Daniel Craig. I didn't mind him as the character, just didn't like the storylines and the plots.
Oh, that's a shame.
I just thought they'd lost the slight tongue-in-cheekness. They'd lost the theme. You know, the actual down, 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 down. I mean, there were bits, but not, you know, they just lost the whole franchise. They just ruined it for me. And then they killed Judi Dench.
What? That's impossible.
Yeah,
Can't do that.
They killed Judi Dench.
By the way, Val Williamson says she.
Oh, yes, sorry, she. That was a good film. That was a big blockbuster in the 70s, I think. She.
Not that she's gender precious.
No,
she.
But that was a film. She. I remember it was like out in I don't know where it was, the Peruvian mountains with these great big. It may have been. I think it was a 70s film, wasn't it? She. But you're talking about Val as a she. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, that's right. Michael Angel says he's only joking. The last film he saw was Turner with Timothy Spall.
Turner.
Yeah. Not heard of that one.
No, I did see. What was the film where Timothy Spall played the hangman, Perry Point? I didn't see that at the cinema. Again, I did see that on whatever. Kevin's Ramble says Daniel Craig is brilliant as James Bond. Shame it's... Oh, you like that? I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I liked Sean Connery. Thought he did a great job. The 70s was okay for Roger Moore. He did get a bit old towards the end, but you know that was okay. I actually didn't mind on His Majesty's Secret Service, the bloke that nobody ever can remember. What's his name? Who played James Bond for one film? I didn't like the one who followed him. Who was he? The cocky English actor. But I didn't mind Piers Brosnan. Thought he was okay. That was very tongue in cheek. And then
Ed Dowd and Elford say George Lazenby.
Yeah, George Lazenby. I didn't actually mind George Lazenby. I didn't mind that. I thought the His Majesty's Secret Service, that one on His Majesty, that was a good film. I thought that was a great film. But who was the other one? Timothy Dalton. Yes. Oh my God, Timothy Dalton. He was trying too hard, and he was just a strange face. Didn't like him.
Never really got into the Bond films.
Did you not?
No, not really. I mean, there was a time when they were fun. I can't remember who it was that was Bond. Oh, actually, I think it might have been Connery. That's how long ago I.
Well, I think you know the James Bond films work with Sean Connery. Sean Connery was a perfect Bond in my opinion. But it was of the time. It was of the 60s and the gadgets and the cars and all that. And as we got more modern, I think the gadgets became a bit, you know, I wish that they had continued to set the stories in the 60s, in that period, rather than try and bring them up to date. Because when Piers Brosnan was starting to drive tanks and things and blowing up these satellites and stuff, although I know some of the other ones were. For me, again, they try and sort of always bring these older stories out of the period that they were written, and I think, you know, it works so well with Moneypenny and M and Q in the 60s. Now I just think you know, you may as well have... What was that series with that young bloke who had lost his identity?
Oh, The Bourne Identity.
Yes, that series. I thought they were good. I mean, they could have been. That's more like a modern...
I enjoyed the first two. How many more are there now?
I don't know. I mean, I've stopped, you know, I do.
Ernie says, Richard, Julia, I was at Dad's Army's 40th reunion in 2008 at the Imperial War Museum.
Oh,
Met
wow.
all the cast, Clive Dunn, John Pertwee, etc., including Vera Lynn. I cried when I met her. I would too, I think. That's awesome. Nice one.
Was it Bill Pertwee? I think not John Pertwee. John Pertwee played Doctor Who and
Yes,
Wurzel
yes.
Gummidge.
I'm just reading what Ernie wrote.
Oh right, okay, yeah, fair enough. Sorry, I should just say the phone lines are open. Well, they will be. Let me just work out how the hell I get back to the phone. There we go. Oh, you can't see the phone number, but the phone number is there. What?
I've got a child at the door.
Oh. Bob Holness was James Bond on the radio. Yeah, the radio Bonds. I've heard some Bonds on BBC Radio 4. I have never quite got through to it. We've got a phone call. Let's see who's on the phone. Hello.
Hello, it's Rita. Thought I'd give you guys a call from here from the States via Skype.
Oh, fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing fine.
Now, hang on. Let me just check that Julia can hear you. Can you hear?
I can. I didn't hear the name, though.
Rita.
Rita.
Ah.
How?
Hello.
Where are you calling from?
Los Angeles area.
Los Angeles. Wow, here we are. Patched through to Los Angeles. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the south of England.
Really? It's just, I've not been in the south of England. I've been in the Lake District. I've been in London, but I've not been in the south of England.
Oh,
yet.
Well, you're very welcome down in the south of England, although it is very, very populated.
Yeah.
It's more populated than the Lake District, although apparently everybody seems to have gone to the Lake District during the lockdown at the moment.
Crazy days.
So what's it like in Los Angeles during this strange times that we're living in?
Well, they've prevented us from going to if you were walking on the beach, that's something we weren't allowed to do until just a few days ago.
Golly.
It's of course, and we've had some weather that have been in the 80s, so the beaches were really popular, especially this weekend. It's a lot of people on the beach. Well, they were allowed walking, but they weren't allowing you to sunbathe. Goodness gracious! You can have 8-10 feet away from somebody. Keep your social distancing. I can't see why they did it, but they did.
And I guess they can police it better than we can police it because you guys have guns, or that's true. Yes, the police around here definitely do have guns, where they don't in England. Yeah. Whereas, but
most forces don't in England, but there's a couple.
No, yeah. So apart from going on the beaches, could you do much else?
It's basically you could go to the store, you could walk some in your neighborhood, and it says can't go out to the restaurants at all. It says shopping is only limited to grocery stores. And it says, and that's what it's been here. It says, pretty much, like I say, they pretty well locked us down, especially here in California, because we had quite a few deaths so far.
Yes, yeah, no, I remember hearing it was quite bad. So now, just correct me if I'm wrong. As I understand it, Mr. Trump, your president, has sort of given. I understand that he's done the correct thing by letting every state do their own version of how they want to do lockdown. Is that right?
Pretty much that's correct, yes. He's let the state do it, not the federal. Of course, you got to realize, it's as you saw in one of the comments that I made, how much bigger California is compared to the United Kingdom.
Yes, of course.
It says it says California is almost. It says it's 3 times the size of England, so it's actually a little larger than 3 times the size.
Yeah.
And it kind of it says what? It says, and we talk distance of going 100 miles for us is nothing. And there's a reason for it, because
There's a lot of space between things.
There is a lot of space. And that's something people from the UK come to the States and says, oh, we'll drive from New York to California in a couple. It says, you're not going to, it's going to take you about 3 days to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's all you're doing.
Yeah.
It says, or like the ones that come to California, it says, we'll go to San Diego, go to Disney, or it says, we'll go to Los Angeles to Disneyland, then down to San Diego, and then drive up to San Francisco. They expect to do that in a day. It says, no, you're not.
No, I went over to the States in 2006, and we did a road trip from Chicago down to San Antonio in Texas. It took us 5 days to do it, and we were pretty much driving each day, and then we got to our hosts who were putting us up. We had a nice meal, and we stayed in their houses, and then we basically left the next day. There was not a lot of time for sightseeing on that journey.
Oh, no, there wouldn't be. It says, and that's something, it says, that people don't realize, just the size, the scope, and everything, just to do that. It's
yeah.
You know, it's funny. A couple of weeks ago, I struggle to sleep quite often, but a few weeks ago, I went on a random Google Street View drive through parts of New York State, and I had that moment where I, put myself down in a certain spot, and I looked around at the base of this bridge, and I was like, "Whoa!" And my mind just went, because I've been dotting around and scooting along, and you just can't really, you can talk about it and people can tell you how vast America is, but until you actually experience it in some way, you just don't get it. And it wasn't until that moment that I was like, that is why Americans think England and, the British Isles is so quaint. It's because it is compared to the vastness of America. It's crazy. It's weird.
Oh, a prime example. It says if you drive from Los Angeles to San Francisco or San Francisco to Los Angeles, it says, and you just drive it, and then if you figure that if you drive it at about 65, 70 miles an hour, it's still going to take you about 7-8 hours.
Yeah.
It says that. Yeah. It says what? And we even had that problem with people on the East Coast don't realize how far things are in California compared to parts of the East Coast, because the states on the East Coast are so much smaller.
We often hear how Americans rarely leave America and go to other parts of the world, and of course people forget that because America is so big, there are so many places within America that is like traveling around Europe for somebody like me in England. So no wonder they don't have to go they don't have to go 4,000 miles to get out of America, especially when you're on your side.
Yeah, because I have been to England twice. I've been to Germany once. It says, I have a little bit of an idea. People go, why don't you have high-speed rail? And this is a question that I've had to answer. It says, high-speed rail is when you look at high-speed rail in the UK. And I remember catching a Virgin train from Glasgow into London.
Yes.
It says that was one thing. But if I look at the same distance of Glasgow to London, I'm looking at, it says, and if you're going through parts of the United States, there's not the population to support a high-speed rail train. And that is a problem that people tend to forget. Yeah. I mean, it says, Los Angeles to Las Vegas is 350 miles. And that's just getting beyond the limit of high-speed rail
Yes.
from point A to point B.
It's something that I discovered when I first went to America. And again, you get so used to just jumping on trains and things. And people were saying, oh, no, you'll have to go by car to such and such or whatever. And I did exactly that ignorant thing of going, well, why don't we just get on a train? Surely we can get on a train. It's like, well, there are no trains that do that. You can get on the Amtrak, but it'll, it's a long way to Tipperary type thing.
Exactly. It's from LA to Chicago on Amtrak. It's a 2-day train ride.
Yeah. So, but after a while, you start to get into that, which is why the roads, and the cars are so comfortable and the roads are wide, and you set onto auto cruise or whatever you call it, and you just sit back and you're just sort of steering, and it's great until two of those massive, great big lorries come down either side of you, and then you go,
yeah, and they're bigger here than they are in the UK.
Oh my God, they're bigger, absolutely. And then you go down those bits where you've got concrete walls on the motorway on, say, your left side, about 10, 12 feet high, and you're on the slow lane. And then one of these big American trucks, 2 or 3 of them go past, and you're going, they only need to veer a little to the right, it would be. They only need to veer a bit to the right, to the right, and I'm toast.
Yeah.
Good idea.
It says the training that's required to drive one of those things is something a lot of people, even in this country, aren't familiar with. It says the same with driving buses too. It says you don't realize, the average motorist doesn't realize how limited vision that they have. Most of the time, they can't see. They can see what's in front of them. What they can see is what's in their mirrors, and that's it.
Yeah, Jeff Kellison drives a big truck. He's on his way to Denver, I think, but he said he's got 2,000 miles or something to do. I can't remember what he said. I was going, oh my goodness. He rang me up earlier today. He's on his way, and he loves it though. He's driving all over the USA. Oh, we have a cat. We have a cat on the screen. Is this Emerald?
It is. Well done.
Little Emerald there. Do you like animals?
Oh, I do. I don't have any at the present time, but I've had a few cats that I've really adored. But I have a picture of one picture of a cat. My cat that I had for 13 years. As a matter of fact, I got 3 pictures of her. I'm just looking at it right now. It says this cat soaking wet was 5 pounds.
So sorry, there was some noise there. What was 5 pounds?
My cat. She was 5 pounds soaking wet.
Soaking wet?
Yes. And she was a long-haired cat. And talk about something that looked really strange. After she'd had a bath, because all I ever had, she was all most of her size was fluff.
Yeah, it's so funny when you get a fucking cat wet.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
And the thing was with her that she was one that she would like to ride on my shoulder like a parrot when she was younger.
That's cool.
As long as she didn't start talking like one, you'll be all right.
No, fortunately she didn't. But and she weighed about as much as one too. I had a scarlet cockatoo one time fly on my shoulder unexpectedly in a pet shop. I loved to taking that bird home, but I couldn't afford to buy it at the time.
No. Well, and they need looking after as well, I guess. There's all of that. So easy, isn't it, when you're in a pet shop or in one of these dog rescue places or anything, to go, oh, yeah, no, I'll have one of those. They look lovely. But, of course, it's the whole shebang that goes with it. It's been great. Thank you so much for calling in. We're going to have to move on because I've got some videos to shove in. But thank you so much, Vita.
Yeah, it was lovely to hear from you.
Yes,
Yes. Well, I hope you'll call in again.
I will.
Good man.
Don't be no stranger.
Take care.
I will be. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, how about that? There we are. Was that Vita? Peter? I couldn't quite... Oh, I've taken the headphones off.
Rita. It was Rita.
Rita. Beg your pardon, Rita. Sorry. Yeah, no, how fantastic is that? That's absolutely lovely. To get an international... Is that our first LA call? I think that is, isn't it?
LA. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so. That's the furthest from us. That's the furthest west we've been.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, Jeff has driven further than that. But
This is true. We're not sure.
he might have been. If he hang on a minute. If he drives, what ocean is on that side? Is that the Pacific? No, wait a minute. I'm just going to get my geography because it's the Atlantic is in between us and America. But what's on the other side?
You ask me a question, my mind goes.
Yeah, well, I'm just showing my ignorance there. But
Yeah, I think
somebody
it's Pacific, isn't it?
is it the Pacific? Well, if someone could be more specific, we would love to know. But there we are. Great to hear somebody from the States. Yeah, the Pacific. There we are. That's what I thought.
It's coming through now.
Phew! I don't feel quite so stupid.
What is it with the camera that does that? You know, the question, then it's the mind goes, "Brr, I don't know nothing."
Yeah, you got the Atlantic and then the Pacific. That's it. Jeff says we have to go to Alaska. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Jeff would have to go to Alaska to be more west. Oh, I see. Right, I think it's time. It's time to. Now, in the next video, ladies and gentlemen, do you like boobs? Do you like boobs? I don't think the boobs were intentional, but do get boobs in tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen.
It depends whether you mean mess ups or.
I can't really say. I'm going to open up the video box and we'll see who it is. So yes, there are some boobs here. So try not to concentrate too much on the boobs. This is I forget what you is it hang on a minute. It's Indoors with Mindy. Is it indoors? I can't remember what you say. What do you call yourself, Mindy?
At home.
At home. There we are. At home with Mindy. Sorry. Thanks. It was like indoors or in the house or at home. I knew it was one of those. At home with Mindy. So yeah, enjoy this. This is fascinating stuff.
Oh, good. Hello, Mindy here. Just thought I'd talk about crocheting and how my nan taught me when I was 11. But she cheated. She taught me a granny square, but she always did the centre bit, and I was allowed to continue doing the corners and the straight bits. That carried on till I was at least 26. Because I did drop crocheting for a long time, and then I taught myself how to do circles by buying a blanket at a car boot and literally copying what the lady had done. So this is the next type I tried, circles, and my favourite type at the moment is making 12-point stars. I absolutely love doing them. But they're very time consuming. This one took about 30 hours to make, and that's a constant 30 hours, not just one day in 6 hours. So I love making the 12-point stars, but you have to increase on each round, so you have to actually sit and concentrate on counting. And this is the only one I've ever done of this, but a gorgeous lacy type of fan one. Very sort of old-fashioned, but I like doing it. So that's me and my crochet. I always crochet in the winter as well instead of doing housework, because I say it's too cold to move around the house. And this is also my favourite mug. Bye.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen? How about that? I wish I could crochet. I'd love to crochet something for my bed. A nice little throw over, especially in the winter. Something that says something like, you know, the Bald Explorer, maybe with a certain design that would look quite good, like a mug. I wonder if you could crochet that on a thing. Yeah, sorry about the boob reference. It's just the camera angle was like, where am I supposed to look and still be a gentleman? But yeah, at home with Mindy. There we are. Thank you very much. And Rita, apologies. I don't know why I thought sometimes when the thing comes through, I thought it was Peter or Vita, and I thought, what is it? Is it? So sorry if I sounded a little bit confused at the beginning there, but now I know who you are. So do call in again. That was absolutely... I love it. When people ring in for the very first time, all the way from LA, I should have picked up, but I don't know, you're so busy sort of concentrating. Let's see if the lovely Julia is still on the line and what she thought of the... is it crocheting? Is that what they call it, crocheting? Or is that... it's something else, isn't it?
Yeah, crocheting.
Crocheting, yeah. Is that what you do with just that funny little needle?
Oh, don't ask me. I think it's a crochet hook, actually.
Oh, crochet hook. Yes.
It cannot be that, but I don't really know much about any kind of needlework. I need to because...
Yes, there we are. Quality crochet work there, Mindy. Exactly. It must take some time and all that counting.
Yeah.
I don't think I wouldn't have the patience. I mean, I know I concentrate on when I'm editing my videos and things. But
actually, there were some really lovely blankets and stuff there she's made. Don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, I love them. That's why I say it'd be lovely to have it as a throw on your bed. On the on top of the continental quilt. Is that what they still call them? Continental quilts?
I have no idea.
Quilts.
A quilt's a quilt to me.
Yeah. I remember when they came in the 70s or something. I remember watching a. When they came in, there was the Generation game. Was on the original version of the Generation game with Brucey, and they did this thing where in the Generation, I don't know if you ever saw the Generation game, but other people will remember it, that they would have this thing that they had to do, and the contestants, so you get a professional come in like the potter's wheel and throw a pot, and then the contestants would have a go. And I remember very distinctly these were new. The continental quilt had just arrived from the continent, funnily enough. And they had these, I guess they must have been hoteliers, the room people in the hoteliers, and they would be able to put the continental quilt on incredibly fast. And they did it within the minute's time or whatever it was. And then the contestants had a go, and it's still vividly in my mind, and they had to put it onto a bed. And it must have been a new thing because the contestants had no idea what a continental quilt was. But now
it's just a duvet.
Duvet. Yeah, duvet mean us. I'm sure they do. Duvet. That's what we call them now, don't they?
Yeah. My eldest used to call, when he was a little boy, and couldn't really speak properly, he used to call them doodays.
Doodays.
I love those cute little words kids come out with.
Yeah.
Power, as in electricity, was powwow.
Powwow.
Powwow. Is the powwow back on, Mummy?
French knitting. What's French knitting? Says, come walk with me. I do French knitting. I suggest doing it. It helps the mind unwind. Rami Boo says Afghan.
Yeah. At Home with Mindy says, thank you, everyone. And yes, thank you for the video. That was really lovely. I love the blankets. Yeah. Sorry he had to mention the boobage. The lovely boobage, but sorry he mentioned it.
Very nice boobage, if I can say. But I did concentrate on the other parts of the video as well, just so you know.
Yes, did I.
Yes, of course. But do send some more in. It'd be fascinating to see all your designs and various things that you do at home with Mindy.
Yeah.
Mike Stevens says, seems very odd now. They struggled with that. Struggled, doesn't it, with the duvets. So who calls them continental quilts? Does anyone who uses that term now? Because I remember them being because they were from the continental quilt. Oh, Val says continental quilt takes me back. Also, nylon sheets were the rage at one point. Oh,
wow. That sets my teeth on edge. The thought of it.
Yes, can you imagine? I mean, I only have silk sheets on my bed. Silk.
Oh, that would be nice.
Spool knitting, cooking, French knitting, tomboy knitting is a form of knitting that uses a spool with a number of nails round the rim to produce a narrow tube of fabric.
Wow.
My mum was into that thing where you had to bang nails in a board and put coloured string around and make patterns.
I don't know what that's called.
I don't know what that's called. How she ever did it, because she was drunk most of the time. My dear old mum. I'm surprised that she, didn't put the nails through her fingers trying to hammer them in.
Doesn't bear thinking.
No, doesn't. Although I did think about it.
Yeah, you have just made everyone think of it now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Nylon sheets from Brentford Nylons. Oh, do you remember Brentford Nylons? I every time I had to drive to Brentford for a job, I always thought of Brentford Nylons. And I thought Brentford Nylons were, on your legs, not sheets. So I've learnt something today.
Cool.
Okay,
we learned something.
If you want to call in, you're very welcome. The number is 0793 47 46790. Give us a call. Talk to the lovely Julia and me.
In the meantime, Jeff Kellison says, when I'm back east, they sell Amish quilts along the road and they get hundreds and hundreds of dollars for them.
Wow. And what makes the Amish quilts? Have they got eider down feathers in them? Because when I was a kid, there was a thing called an eider down. Now, I know the down from an eider duck.
Cuts from an eider duck.
Yeah. But we would have effectively what you would think of now as a quilt made from, and we would call it an eider down. I never associated it with a duck or feathers. It was like you go and stay at your granny and you had this eider down pulled over you, which smelt like it had mothballs and had been around since the Victorian period. And
not very nice.
And we'd have that. And then when continental quilts came, it just seemed like an eider down with a sheet over the top. So there we are. There's a bit of nostalgia. You always get a bit of nostalgia. Nails and string on a board, very 70s. I used to do it. Cotton reel with small nails on the top for French knitting. Oh, yeah, two different things. Egyptian cotton sheets preferred. Oh, Egyptian cotton.
Yes. I can't remember what's significant about it, isn't it? Is it stronger or softer or something? Purer, maybe?
Could well be. We have a call. Let's take the call.
Stronger.
Hello to you, calling us up.
Hello, Richard and Julia. It's Ed Loud.
Hello, Ed.
Hello, Ed.
How are you?
Hello. Oh, not too bad, thanks. I'm going to be quick today.
Okay.
I'm talking about the differences between America and, well, specifically England earlier.
Yes.
Whenever I used to do a lot of audio editing to learn my way around things, and me and my friends used to notice that in certain periods through musical history, North American music had more of a sort of wide landscape to it than British music, especially English music. And it's a very hard thing to explain, that sometimes you could look at something in the equalizer and you would notice the difference. Or sometimes it felt like the different layers of sound were closer together with the British stuff. Very, very specifically, more so in the south of England as well. And we could have just been teenagers talking out of our rear ends, but we always got that impression, and we used to sort of over-intellectualize it and talk about it quite a lot.
So are you suggesting that did you say North American?
Yeah, so Canadian and
so
USA
wide place.
America.
Is that because they were slightly more pastoral in the way that the composition is put together?
Yeah, maybe so. You do seem to find musical differences between different countries and different areas, and maybe they were used to a more echoey landscape, a more open landscape, noises coming from all different directions, and it grew up in their folk music and carried on from there. I really don't know.
So do you think if you were blindfolded, well, you don't need to be blindfolded for this, but if you were, you didn't know a particular origin of the music, and it wasn't obvious, like South America, what do you call the Native American music, and it wasn't obviously hillbilly music, but if it was, I don't know, something like, because you can instantly tell if something's American and something is English just by the way it's written. But
Yeah,
you're not
often,
talking about that, are you?
often when there's a new trend, such as, when punk became a thing, when sort of techno became a thing, you can often sense it then, that first year or two of a new trend. And it's you can't really describe it. I find it very hard to intellectualize the whole difference, but sometimes you can sort of, if you listen to 1,000 songs over a few months, you do tend to feel like you can tell the difference, and you're not always right, but generally speaking, even people who aren't musicians, they can tell. It's an innate thing. If you come from the one culture, you can tell that it comes from another culture. But then sometimes there's songs that fool you. There was a song I heard, which I can't help but feel was deliberately meant to sound American. And I think it was by Razorlight. And the song sounds American. And I think the song's even called America. And it's very echoey, and there's this big, vast musical landscape. And it does sound like an American song. But it's from the wrong era. So I did kind of guess, I'm wrong and everything. But sometimes people do it deliberately. Sometimes people will deliberately try and make a song sound a certain way.
In the world of video production, there is a lot of people ask me about the music that I use, and they say, "Oh, I like that piece of music you've used at so and so," and they'll give me the timestamp of what the music is, and they say, "What is it? What is the track?" And I'll think, well, it's a piece of production music. It's just production music, which is music that it's like in a music library. It's not necessarily commercially available, but you can buy it if you wish. I mean, some of the tracks that I use, I've paid something like £40 for the use of that music in my video. And unless you pay for it, you can't get it. Some of it's free, copyright free, but this comes with a license. And these musicians may well be writing a whole host of different stuff for these production libraries. So some which sound very English, some which sound perhaps of different periods, and some which sound like a different country. So I wonder if you could tell that if an English person was commissioned to write an American prairie type music, that would go with somebody tracking over the prairies in cowboy Native American times, in the Wild West, whether you could tell that was written by an English person who lives in London and has always lived in London but has, done a few cliche things, or that was actually by an American.
I don't think I could tell, but I think you could definitely tell the intent. You could definitely sense that this is what they were trying to achieve. And it's a lot of it I can't summarize, but I always tended to notice, especially when new trends were coming out, the layers between, say, the treble and the bass and everything in between were much more spaced out with American music.
Yeah.
And they were much closer together with English music. And
that could be down to the geography and the fact that we are more crammed here and they are more...
exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
It's like a metaphor for the country, a metaphor for the culture. And it's not a rule. There's lots of exceptions. But things just tend to be more spaced out. If you listen to Lou Reed, it tends to be more spaced out than, say, David Bowie. The different layers will be at different parts of, I don't know the correct term, the musical spectrum. With David Bowie seems to be quite close together. And
but is that the style? Heroes. Is that just the style and the choice of, because you always seem to have...
I think it's a European thing, because his music at the time I'm thinking of was very sort of English and German. And, he was playing around with lots of effects. One of the first sort of massive uses of gated microphones I can think of is Heroes by David Bowie. And even in a song like that, where you would expect it to be very spaced out, if you put that in an equalizer, you can see that the various layers are much closer together than one of his contemporaries, which would have been Lou Reed, who, of course, David Bowie knew quite well. So I think it's somewhere deep in your soul. Maybe you pick it up in childhood. Maybe you can study it and learn it.
Well, I guess if you're brought up in a culture where like anything, you're brought up in a culture that you're going to absorb that culture, and if the music is spaced out, a bit more spaced out. When you write, the chances are you're going to write more spaced out than if you're in a culture that's quite busy and you're on top of each other. Then you're probably likely to have that within your psyche, and you probably, it's all subconscious and you don't know you're doing it.
Yes,
Wesley Morgan Wesley Morgan has said there's a known difference between British and American classic recording studio equipment. Both have different harmonic characteristics. And Glenn Johnson says production style and playing style shape the overall sound. I think that has an effect on that.
Yes, yeah. I think there's a million and one reasons. And the other sort of audio thing I've noticed... No, I don't think I'm clever enough to sort of list them.
A million and one starting now.
Yeah, I don't think I could list 5, let alone a million and one.
Well, you know, you said there was a million. You said there was a million and one reasons, and I thought there's a clever bloke. He must know a million and one reasons. And I thought it's strange that it's not. He hasn't rounded it up to a million. He's a million and one.
The only other thing I can think of to close sort of my input into the subject is that I have noticed people who live in cities speak much louder on the phone than people who live in the countryside as a general rule, which I've always put down to the noise of traffic.
Yeah, it does make sense.
So maybe with music there's a similar thing, that if you live in a vast echoey landscape...
Isn't that funny though? You'd think that people in the countryside would be louder because they would be going, "Get off my land!"
Well, if you hear a New Yorker or a Londoner on the phone, and you hear someone from the middle of nowhere on the phone, there is a marked difference.
Yes.
It's not a golden rule, but
my ex used to shout down the phone all the time. Always on the basis that, there's always that thing, isn't it, on the phone. If you can't hear the person, you raise your voice, even though they can hear you perfectly well because your phone's working well. It's just their phone isn't, and you go, "I can't hear you. I really can't." It's like, yeah, but I can hear you. You don't need to shout.
It's like me growing up with hard of hearing people and deaf people. I speak incredibly loud,
yes,
which is how I got the name Ed Loud. It's not my real name.
Is it not your real name?
No. Just years ago, someone was making me various accounts, and as a wind-up, they called me Ed Loud, and I thought, hey, that sounds quite cool. I'll stick with that. So I think that was about 2011 when I first got my YouTube account, and I didn't have the internet at the time, so I had to go to someone else's account.
Always useful having a YouTube account when you haven't got the internet.
Well, it was just so that I could watch stuff when I went to the library and things like that. But anyway, I'm rambling, aren't I?
Yeah, no, you ramble.
Let me buzz off and
let
you get on with the show. But I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that, so I'll keep my eyes in the comments.
There's lots in the...
I suspect the few regulars will have something to say on that, especially Andrew Norris. He's very creative.
Andrew Norris has got something. Julia's going to read it out. Take care, Ed Loud.
Take care, bye.
Bye-bye. Richard Quiet here. So Andrew Norris, what does he say, Julia?
He says there are particular sounds which can locate a piece of music to a particular region of the world. It is possible to imitate these styles to write music as a soundtrack to thematic films.
And I interviewed, I didn't so much interview, we had a chat, Andrew and I, when he was over in the UK, and we made a video about it, and you're very welcome to check it out. We were talking about English music and how... exactly what he says there. I didn't understand a word of what he was talking about. I just nodded and smiled and pointed the microphone and went, okay, and put it up on YouTube and took all the credit. But he did seem to make sense.
Of course. By the way, for the record, Budum-tish.
Yes, Budum-tish.
Rita Loy has let us know that the longer fibres of Egyptian cotton make for a softer cloth.
The longer fibres of Egyptian cotton. So now let's just work that backwards. Cotton. Where the cotton picking does that come from? In Egypt, presumably. And they pick the cotton and turn it into a thread, but it's got longer fibres than the cotton that you would get on the fields in China or wherever they are, where the other cotton, or Africa. Where is it they do the South Africa? Is it the other cotton? Where you always see in America they have cotton fields, don't they? And you see them picking them up and shoving them in the bags in the old films where they were singing in that again, that's another subculture where the Deep South, was it the Deep South where they had the cotton fields and you get them singing as they're putting in the cotton. Oh yeah, do.
Getting on dodgy territory here.
I'm just saying that's what they do.
I'm getting nervous.
And they're filling up their big bags with all the cotton and away it goes. But I'm assuming that the Egyptian cotton slightly longer. I guess because you've got a bit of Ramesses in there and Tutankhamun in there, and mummies in there.
There's an interesting thing from Ramaboo too. Appalachian bluegrass style music was based on the fact of hearing each other from holler to holler. So, isn't that where yodeling came from as well? Being heard from a long distance. Yeah, not bad. Keep practicing.
In the Alpines, did they do that? The yodeling in the Alpines?
What have I done? Oh, gee.
What were those big horns they used to blow into? Those big, like the Vikings had, but they would go. It sounds a bit more like a foghorn, that.
Yeah, that did.
Yodeling.
No idea what that sounded like, though. God.
Come on, Mrs. Jip. Gossyum barbadinis, also known as extra long staple cotton, is a species of cotton plant that has been cultivated to have LS fibres.
ELS fibres.
Oh, sorry, ELS. It's like
not that I know what that means.
ELO, Electric Light
Orchestra.
Electric light. Was that because they... it's an electric light, as in electric light bulb. Yeah, of course. Fibres no longer than 34 millimetres, which are associated with high cotton quality cloth, so that you are nice on your chest or other parts of the anatomy that we're not allowed to speak of. Alpine horns. There we go. Alpine horns. Oh, Richard, you woke my cat up. Sorry about that.
Apparently they're called alphorns.
Oh, alphorns.
Says Barry Stevens.
Oh, alphorns. Nice. Imagine living next door to the Vobes. It's Turbo Stream. I think we better put another video on, don't you?
Yeah.
I got the last one today. The last one of today. We only had 3 videos in, but that's plenty. Let's have a look in the old video boxing. And in the video box tonight, ladies and gentlemen, young Barry. Yes, we missed Barry yesterday. Young Barry and Harry. No, not Harry. Of course not Harry. Faden. Young Barry and Faden have been out and about to my old stomping ground, in actual fact. You may remember some years ago, the Bald Explorer made a video called Crumbling Churches, and we centred a whole piece about the church at Itchingfield and the wonderful little priest house that the visiting priests would come and stay in. It's quite old and what have you. Well, Barry has been there. He's been there with Faden, and they've made this wonderful video. So let's take a look.
Hello all. Today we are on another walk at Itchingfield and Barnes Green.
We are, and we're at St Nicholas's Church in Itchingfield. It's a beautiful church. Has a wooden tower. I don't know if you can see that. And it also has an off building, Tudor off building.
That looks like a nice building, that.
It is a beautiful building. You've got the cemetery. I'll try and give you a better view of the church. Just like to show you this building. It's a part of the churchyard. The church was actually built in 1125 and has 2 walls that are original, and even some of the windows are original. This Tudor building here, or Tudor looking building, it's called the priest's house, but it was most likely for clerics, paid clerics to live in when the church was active all them years ago. I'm not sure what it's used for today. Oh, it's a toilet now, apparently. Not sure that's the original chimney. These lovely cows, huge and very friendly. We are on the military trail, and on the road up and down. A lovely day today.
We're now at the Queen's Head in Barnes Green. We're going to now finish it here. I'd like to say thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Goodbye, everybody.
There we go, the lovely Barry and Faden. Fantastic, well done. That's a fair old trek, isn't it, from Basingstoke? I've made a video there, but Julia reminded me actually that we went there to see Darren Dendy, who's a viewer of the Bald Explorer. I don't really know whether he watches the Vobes show or not. He may watch, but not comment. And there is a lot of Dendys in the cemetery there, in the graveyard, buried in there. Not because he's been going around killing them all. They're members of his family, but I think he said there was something like 63 Dendys buried in there. Let's just double check with the lovely Julia and see if she can remember. Hello, Julia.
Hello, Richard.
Yeah, there was, I can't remember how many he said. It was something like 60 odd Dendys, wasn't there, buried in that graveyard?
Might have been up to the 70s, I can't remember, but there was a lot of them.
A lot of them.
It was a beautiful yew tree that several of them were still around. Well, the gravestones were anyway.
Yeah, no, lovely, and that little priest house, I've been inside it. I've been in there.
Wow.
And you'll see, actually, if you watch the Crumbling Churches video, just search Bald Explorer Crumbling Churches, and it's one of my longer format ones, so it takes a bit of time. But I've been in there, and they were using it for all sorts of things. They were trying to raise money to, at the time I was filming, which goes back to about 2012 or something, or somewhere around there, they were trying to raise money for the roof. Well, they got that fixed, and then they were trying to raise money to put a loo and stuff into that little building. So clearly they've managed to do that now. But I'd been in there when it was a bit of a wreck.
Well, it looks amazing now.
It's absolutely amazing. And
I've got some lovely photos of it myself.
And of course,
And that wooden tower on the church is gorgeous too, isn't it?
oh, very beautiful. And it's interesting, that wooden tower, if you took the church away and you just had the wooden tower, you would be pretty much going back to what the very, very early churches would have been like in the Saxon times. Just a square building that would go up. And that was in the very early Christian churches that came in, were pretty small, made of timber and square. And everybody thinks that they were, you know, like the nave and thing. They were built on the Byzantine principle. Can't say the word Byzantine. Thank you.
Yeah. Either way, that was another fantastic video from Barry and Faden. Thank you, guys.
Yes, they've been very prolific over the last few months, but thank you so much. We really enjoy it.
It's been lovely watching your travels.
Ah, there we go. Steeples. Yes, steeples. The great thing about another thing that people don't realise, that back in the very early period of the churches, during the Saxon period, before the Normans came, the land was most likely peppered with loads of steeples. The churches were tall and had these shingled steeples that would go up. You would have seen loads of them because it was a question of trying to build up rather than out. And of course, the churches would have been the most prominent building, but the better, you know, everyone else was living in pretty much smaller shambles of buildings. But the churches were the things they put the money into. The Normans, yes, is that a cross with nerds and Normans? It is.
It's funny you say that. Walk with me. I thought he was going to say before the nerds came in, and I was like, "Where are you going?"
Yeah,
with this?
Where are you going? So nice to see the cows. You'll see some cows in the video tomorrow, actually, because I stumbled across some more cows in my travels this morning in West Chiltington, and they make the video edit, and very nice cows they are. And here we are, live on the show. We have the lovely Elijah. Hello, Elijah.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Just good? Is there any more than that? Are you doing well?
Many words.
What have you been up to today?
What have you been up to today?
I've been playing a bit of Roblox on my tab.
Roblox on your tab. You've emptied the dishwasher. What else have you done?
What? Hang on, just a minute. Roadblocks. This is the same as what's his name? Roadblocks.
River Reed's Roblox, yes.
So Roadblocks is actually the name of a game. I didn't realise it was the name of a game.
Yeah.
What is that game about, Elijah?
That's about, well, this game has many games in one. So people create games and then they post it to the Roblox community. Then players can play that game that the people made for them.
Oh, I see. So, and can they be any sort of game, or are they themed in like fighting robots or that sort of thing?
Oh, they could be themed in any way.
So they could play like tennis or
battling stuff, tycoons, role playing.
And I guess you must spend a lot of time creating these games, which is a good creative thing to do.
Well, not that much, because I don't really know exactly how to. I've made one map, and it is quite bad.
Oh, right. Well,
Roblox Studio.
You'll get better though, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And what other things have you been doing today apart from playing on Roadblocks?
You've been helping look after your little brother.
Yep.
That must be a full-time job.
Yeah. He is a very, very good big brother. I'm very proud of you for that.
Because very soon, am I right in thinking that Joseph is almost walking on his own?
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Trying to keep him safe while he's bumbling around.
Yeah.
What does he do?
What?
What does he do?
Who?
Joseph. He gets in trouble with you, doesn't he? Because he keeps trying to reach things that you don't want him to get.
Yes, he tries to pester me. And he's actually got past the barricade too.
He's got what?
We're going to have to upgrade the barrier more.
to climb up the stairs. And he likes playing with that toy that attracts the cats.
Oh yes, the piece of fur, piece of fake fur with attached to a stick.
So that he can
And
waggle
ribbons on
it.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you've posted pictures of him, or sent me pictures of him doing it. It's hilarious to see.
Yeah, it's brilliant. The kitten and the baby keep themselves entertained for at least half an hour. I'll just sit there laughing.
So you must be missing school, I imagine, Elijah. You must be desperate to get back and see all your classmates.
Actually, not really for go back to school part, but I would like to see my friends more.
Yes, and get out, because being stuck in the house must have been a bit of a bore.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not many places for us to go to and stay away from people, is there? The beach is getting busier, so we can't really walk along there terribly comfortably.
No, it's very...
My anxiety goes through the roof.
Yeah, especially with the two of them.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it Roadblocks or Roblox, says John Winthorpe.
It's Roblox.
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 And what is that? It's like I'm taking that's like robot type stuff, is it?
Not essentially. You could do other stuff except robots.
Oh, okay.
But it's meant to be robot blocks. Is that what it's
No.
short for? No?
No.
Who knows?
You could customize your tags as well.
Oh.
You can customize it. Well, that's very useful. If only I could customize myself. That would be good. Like, stick some hair on as long as yours. Maybe a big droopy moustache, big long goatee beard. Nobody would know who I was.
Funny.
So there we go. Mike Stevens says, I don't think Dvorak had wagons in the fields in mine. Not quite sure what he's on about there. Oh, back to the music there, I think. We'll send you a video of my cat in a bag, says Ian Beddoes. Not sure we want to see that, do we?
One of my cats loves bags. You get a little carrier bag out, you shake it and let it drift to the floor. She'll come running in. As soon as it gets near the floor, she jumps in. It's very funny.
Wasn't there a viral video about a woman who chucked some cats in a wheelie bin?
Yes, there was.
And was
And
that...
She got in lots of trouble for that.
Were they real cats?
No, it was a
a hoax,
cat.
wasn't it?
She'd picked up the cat off the garden wall, I think, and just put it in the bin. And it was stuck there for hours and hours. You're laughing, but it was a horrible thing to do.
Oh, no, it is a horrible thing to do.
She did get slammed by the entire internet.
Yes,
So she
by
got
the
her
entire
comeuppance.
internet. What about the people using the internet? What about the people using the internet? Didn't they ever go to her as well? Semantics, I know. Well, there we are. What's the time, Mr. Wolf? We've got to end the show.
Okie dokie. Do you want a little JoJo update?
A little JoJo update, of course. Yeah,
Sign up,
let's see what's happened to JoJo.
Gonna get JoJo.
Gonna get JoJo.
He's getting heavy, that big one.
Yeah, he would. How old is the big one?
He's 9 years old, yes.
9 years old. Blimey.
Mm.
Gosh, isn't
Big thing
Roblox like Minecraft? I have no idea. Don't ask me. I don't.
Someone said the figures in Roblox look like Lego figures, and I think that's about right.
Oh, I see. What is it with blocky type of thing? Whereas they spent years perfecting how to make the graphics look really swish, and everyone's taken a back step to very fuzzy images. There he is. There's Jojo, or rather Joseph. Hello, Joseph.
Say hello.
Hello, Joseph. Hello. Hello. You're thinking, I recognise that voice, but I don't recognise that bloke with the what is it? The Cybermen headphones.
Cybermen, yeah. You're going to speak first today. Can you say no? He calls me Nana.
Hey, Joe, can you say...
Not Nana, but Nana.
Joe, can you say anti-disestablishmentarianism?
I don't think he can say that.
Oh, all right then.
That's boring, isn't it?
That's such a shame. It'd be just funny if he just went, what? Anti-disestablishmentarianism? Yes, I can say that. And supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Oh.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
There we go. Look at that. She just happened to be looking in the opposite direction thinking, There's a strange voice my father is making.
Yeah, we didn't play along with that very well, did we? Nice try.
Nice try.
That's true. Ah.
I like the way his hair looks like he's trying to do a Glenn Johnson there. He's trying to grow an not an afro. What do you call
Mohican.
it? A Mohican. Bring him back on the screen. Look, he looks like he's trying to grow a Mohican.
Yeah, it does. Hang on, look at this. Yeah, it's just thicker at the right in the middle.
It's very
there.
thicker in the middle. Yeah. So Glenn, I know you're losing yours, but little Joe, he's growing his. All he needs now is a bass guitar, and away they go.
Yeah, off you go. You're going to go and play with Glenn Johnson from the music venue. Yeah?
Yeah? Joe? Joseph?
Look over here. What's this? Don't know if you noticed, but he did try waving at you a couple of times.
Hello.
Hey!
Bless his little socks. Well, there we are. That is the Swiss family Hartley. And they're doing very well. Thank you very much for joining us all. But we better go now. Anti-disestablishmentarianism, the movement against the disestablishmentarian of the Church of England in the state. That's quite right, Mr. Great Plum. I did actually know what it meant. It was one of those words that the one word that I still haven't managed to master is the Welsh station. What is it? Hang on. Let me see if I can do it. Hang on. I was nearly there. The Welsh station. Cardiff. Yeah, I got it. Years and years of practice on that one. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Do join me again tomorrow at 8 o'clock. If you can't make that, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I shall be reading on the Bald Explorer channel more from H.V. Morton. It was a hilarious day the other day. It was reasonably funny today. We've taken it a bit strong in cheek. I did have a couple of rants in my pants, which was nice. Did
you get them out of your system, though?
I think so. I didn't bring them up today, did I, in the show? So I must have got it out of my system. And tomorrow we've got the conclusion of Chapter 3 of In Search of Sussex, Off the Beaten Track with Arthur Stanley, what's his name, Cook, where I get to West Chiltington, and we'll see that one if you so wish.
That one.
So for the patrons who follow me, a nude dude.
Nude dude.
A nude dude will turn up in your email
also
account.
known as the Naked Englishman podcast.
Yes, the Naked Englishman podcast that I do, which is a behind the scenes. The patrons get that. It's interesting because we've had a number of patrons, by the way, who support the show, and they send me. They set up a patronage and they use their PayPal, and I'm convinced that some people use a different email address for PayPal. So it's the only email address I get, and I answer them and I say, if you'd like to get this podcast, you're very welcome, and I will send it to you. But I'm convinced that they don't get to read that email because I think they just use that as an email for PayPal, and then they never check it. So there's a lot of people out there who don't get it. Jen's Allotment says that love seeing Thacum again today. Thank you very much. Glad you found the church, by the way. She was looking for the church the other day. Thanks for the entertainment. Thank you very much. Nice to see Arthur Stanley, bottle washer. Yes, he was an organist in the end, turns out. You what, sorry?
Thank you for obliging and let me bring my kids on.
Oh, it's nice to see them. Always nice to see them. Now put them back in the little box.
Yep, put them back in the box. There you go.
Seal the lid. John Winthrop says, I had to cut my hair today because the barber shop was closed and I accidentally gave myself a bit of a bald spot on the back. Oh, yes, I do that every day. Speak to you soon, Richard and Julia. Yeah, nice to see you, Mark. Look after the garbage pod. If you want to hear something a bit different, check out, I assume he's still going, the garbage pod. Put that into a podcatcher and see if he's there. And Leonard Fosberg, I followed this channel for 6 months. Always great videos about nature and buildings. Keep up what you're doing. Great show, Richard and Julia. Thank you very much. And yes. Linda Kane said, lived in West Chiltington for a short, unhappy time. Hated it. Yeah, I can... don't want to say too much about it, really. But, yeah, there was a lot of big cars. I did have a bit of... Did have a rant about that this afternoon in the other show about the big cars.
Yeah.
in this.
Remember that vividly.
Yeah.
So that's wait. So that's 4 rants in your pants you've had today, then.
Shush, that's too many. Nice to talk to you. Thank you, Rita, for calling in. We'll talk to you again. Thanks for everybody else who called in.
Thanks, Peter.
But that is all we got time for, and somehow I've got to get back into the bit where the theme comes in, and I can't remember how to do it now. Oh yes, there we are. So thank you, Julia.
Thank you very much.
Take care, Elijah. Look after yourself. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Look after yourself, everyone. Bye.
Bye. I pressed the button and the sudding thing wouldn't work. Hang on.
The magic is broken.
It's going now. Oh, well, there you are. Another little show. Oh, I forgot. Why am I still on the camera? This is my little nugget at the end.
Your Easter egg got busted.
My Easter... Why is that not working? Have I turned my goodbye? No, my goodbye's on there. Is it because I put the camera in the wrong place? Yeah, hang on.
Is it because you were Cyberman?
Yes. I've ballsed it all up again. I've ballsed up my little Easter egg. Hey-ho.
Ah.